She always thought evil made noise, that it growled, stalked, shouted, that it wore shadows and bared its teeth. But Alexis would one day learn. Evil is quiet. It waits. It smiles. It holds your hand while calculating your end. For 2 years, she loved him, trusted him, nursed his pain, believed the apologies, forgave the silences. She didn't see the fire building behind his eyes. She didn't see the kindling in every compromise she made. Until one night, while the world outside her window slept and the heater hummed in the vents, he struck a match, and her skin lit like paper. As she burned, she looked up into the eyes of the man she thought would protect her, and all she saw was calm. This is the story of a girl who crawled out of the flames, a man who tried to make her disappear, and the quiet warning we all missed before the fire began. Before we dive into this chilling story, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. Your support is our motivation to keep bringing you demystifying stories like this. Thank you. Now back to the video. It started with a smile and ended in screams. To everyone who knew her, Alexis Sykes was sunshine. 24, bright-eyed, with a contagious laugh and a future lined with promise. She was studying to become a nurse, the kind of person who cared more about others than herself. Her friends said she made people feel safe just by being in the room. But behind the closed door of her small apartment in Hanover Park, Illinois, a different story was unfolding. One of secrets, control, and silent fear. That story began nearly 2 years earlier when she met Jonathan White. He was older, 28, charismatic, and quick with compliments. He noticed Alexis at a college coffee shop. She was reading a thick nursing textbook, eyes scanning the page with intensity. He bought her a drink, said she looked like someone too smart for this town. She laughed, and just like that, she was hooked. At first, Jonathan was everything she wanted, attentive, affectionate, even protective. He asked about her classes, brought her lunch during study sessions, and walked her to her car at night. He made her feel like the center of his world. But protection slowly turned to possession. He started asking questions, where she was going, who she was texting, why she wasn't answering fast enough. When she went out with friends, he guilt-tripped her. "You're too pretty to be out alone," he'd say. "You know I worry." And so, little by little, Alexis stayed in more, laughed less, and started answering his calls before the first ring ended. Friends noticed. Her roommate moved out suddenly, claiming the tension in the apartment was too much. Alexis brushed it off. "He's just passionate," she'd say. "He loves me hard." But love isn't supposed to hurt. The emotional control grew sharper. Jonathan monitored her social media. He deleted male contacts from her phone. Once, when she forgot to respond to a message, he showed up uninvited to her class, just to make sure she was okay. Her classmates thought it was creepy. Alexis smiled and pretended it was sweet. She started wearing long sleeves, even on warm days. One night, her best friend, Janelle, saw a bruise peeking out from under her hoodie. Alexis laughed it off. "I bumped into a cabinet." But her eyes didn't match her smile. Janelle pushed gently. "Are you sure everything's okay?" Alexis hesitated. Then she nodded too quickly. But inside, she was unraveling. Jonathan had become unpredictable, sweet one minute, cold and cruel the next. He would disappear for hours, then accuse her of cheating. He called her names, slammed doors, broke a glass once, inches from her face. Still, she stayed, because he always apologized. He cried after every blow-up, told her he was broken, told her she was the only one who could fix him. "I just love you so much, Lex," he'd whisper, tears in his eyes. "You're all I've got." And so, she became his everything, and lost pieces of herself in the process. By January 2021, Alexis had almost no one left. Her family, sensing something was wrong, kept their distance after failed attempts to intervene. Her friends stopped calling. The silence around her grew louder. Only Janelle kept texting, even when Alexis didn't reply. Then, just days before the incident, Alexis sent a voice memo to Janelle. Her voice was trembling. "I think I need to get out," she said. "He scares me now. Like, he really scares me." Janelle dropped everything and drove over. Alexis wouldn't open the door. Later that night, she sent a final message. "I'm leaving him this weekend. I just need to plan it right." She never got the chance. The morning of January 12th started like any other. Alexis woke early, took a shower, and curled up on the couch with her favorite blanket. She scrolled through nursing job listings and ate toast with strawberry jam. Jonathan was out, or at least, she thought he was. He had been quiet the past 2 days, brooding. After another argument, this one about a friend commenting on one of her Instagram stories, he'd stormed off and hadn't come back. She hoped maybe that was it. Maybe he was finally done. But just after 2 a.m., he came back. The security cameras outside their apartment complex later captured him entering the unit, wearing gloves, carrying a small bottle. The footage would become key evidence. Inside, Alexis had fallen asleep on the couch. She didn't hear him enter. She didn't see him kneel beside her. She only woke when her skin ignited. The flames ate through her pajamas. Alexis screamed as her skin blistered. The pain was instant, searing, primal. She rolled to the floor, grabbing at anything to smother the fire. Smoke filled her throat. Her vision blurred. She tried to crawl, legs dragging behind her like they no longer worked. Jonathan stood back, watching. Then, without a word, he walked out. He tossed her phone in a sewer and vanished into the darkness. Alexis didn't stop crawling. Somehow, she made it to the front door, managed to pull it open, and spilled into the freezing night air. A neighbor across the lot heard something. Not quite a scream, more like a desperate, broken howl. He rushed outside and saw her collapsed on the sidewalk, skin peeling, barely conscious. "Call 911, he shouted. The dispatcher's audio later revealed the moment first responders arrived. One paramedic whispered, "It's a miracle she's still alive." At the hospital, Alexis was placed into a medically induced coma. She had third-degree burns covering over half her body: face, arms, chest, legs. Her lungs were scorched from inhaling fumes. Her chance of survival was slim. Doctors worked through the night. Janelle got the call just before dawn and collapsed at the news. Alexis's family flew in, stunned by the horror. No one could understand it. Why would someone who claimed to love her do this? As Alexis lay unconscious, Jonathan White was on the run. Somewhere out there, he was scrolling Instagram, reading news alerts, watching the story spread. Then came the chilling twist. Jonathan began posting cryptic captions, emojis of fire, and lines that read like taunts. "You thought you knew me. Burn it all down." Detectives quickly connected the dots. A warrant was issued. A manhunt began. Meanwhile, Alexis stirred in her hospital bed, her skin raw, her voice gone. Her skin felt like it didn't belong to her anymore. In the burn unit of Loyola University Medical Center, Alexis Sykes lay wrapped in layers of gauze, her body swollen, bandaged, unrecognizable. She couldn't speak, couldn't open her eyes. Machines beeped beside her, monitoring heart rate, oxygen, vitals, each one a lifeline fighting to keep her tethered to the world. The doctors weren't sure she'd make it through the first 72 hours. The burns covered more than 50% of her body. Her airways were scorched. Her throat had to be surgically opened, a tracheostomy, just so she could breathe. Her family sat in the hallway, shattered. Her mom didn't cry. She just stared at the wall, gripping the armrest of a plastic chair like it could stop her from falling apart. Janelle paced the hospital floor for hours, replaying that voice memo over and over. "I think I need to get out. He scares me now." It was the last time she heard Alexis's voice. Meanwhile, over 100 miles away, Jonathan White was hiding. After setting Alexis on fire, he didn't panic. He didn't try to cover his tracks. He simply left, walked to his car, drove north, and disappeared across state lines into Wisconsin. It was calculated. Investigators later found out he'd stopped at a gas station around 4 a.m., paid in cash, and switched off his phone. Before that, he had dumped Alexis's phone in a storm drain, destroying her last connection to the outside world. He even changed his clothes before leaving Illinois, tossing the gasoline-soaked hoodie into a dumpster behind a fast food restaurant. But Jonathan couldn't stay hidden forever. By now, the story had exploded across social media. Alexis's condition, her survival, had captured public attention. The phrase #JusticeForAlexis began trending within days. The community was furious. There were candlelight vigils, posters, flyers, donations to help cover medical bills. And then there were his posts. Somewhere, using a fake Instagram account, Jonathan was watching and commenting. He posted photos of fire, cryptic captions, the phrase "love hurts" scribbled over a black background. One story included a song lyric, "I did what I had to do." He was taunting them, her family, her friends, law enforcement. And worse, he seemed proud. Those posts would later become critical evidence. Back at the hospital, Alexis woke up. It had been 10 days since the attack. She couldn't speak, couldn't move her lips, but her eyes fluttered open, glassy and wet. Janelle was there when it happened. She stood up slowly, trying not to cry. "Lex," she whispered. "Can you hear me?" Alexis blinked once, then twice. It was the confirmation everyone had been praying for. A nurse rushed in. A doctor followed. Her mom clutched her hand so tightly Alexis winced. But she didn't let go. That moment, that fragile flicker of life, changed everything. Alexis couldn't talk, but she could write. Over the next few days, as her swelling decreased and her hands regained slight movement, she started scribbling on a whiteboard. One of the first things she wrote was, "Where is he?" The doctors didn't answer, but Janelle did. "He's running," she said, "but they're going to find him." They almost didn't. The manhunt had gone cold. No credit card activity, no phone pings, no car sightings. But then, on January 20th, 8 days after the attack, a barista at a coffee shop in Madison, Wisconsin noticed something odd. A man came in, hoodie pulled low, glancing over his shoulder. He paid cash and sat in the corner, scrolling his phone. Something about him felt off. The barista snapped a photo. She posted it in a local Facebook group with the caption, "Anyone else think this is the guy from the news?" An off-duty cop saw it. He forwarded it to investigators. That night, U.S. Marshals surrounded the area and arrested Jonathan White at a bus terminal. He had a ticket to Minnesota. In his backpack, they found a burner phone, a stolen driver's license, and cash wrapped in a sock. The arrest was quiet. He didn't fight, didn't speak, just stared at the floor while they cuffed him. Back in Illinois, Alexis's family got the call. "He's in custody," they were told. "He's not going to hurt her again." The charges came fast. Attempted murder, aggravated arson, domestic battery, possession of incendiary materials. A judge denied bail, citing flight risk and danger to the victim. Jonathan was placed in Cook County Jail, awaiting trial. In the courtroom, he showed no emotion. When Alexis's name was read aloud, he didn't flinch. When prosecutors described her injuries in detail, he blinked slowly, like he was bored. But the public wasn't bored. They were furious. Rallies formed outside the courthouse. Protesters held signs, "Believe survivors," and "No more silence." Survivors of domestic abuse spoke out, sharing their stories. Alexis had become more than a victim. She was a symbol. Inside the burn unit, she was still fighting to walk. The skin grafts were brutal. Doctors removed the dead, burned layers from her arms, chest, and legs. They replaced what they could with healthy skin taken from other parts of her body. The pain was indescribable. Every movement felt like razor blades across raw nerve endings. But Alexis didn't give up. She forced herself through physical therapy, cried through each bend of her knees, each stretch of her fingers. Janelle was there every step, reading cards from strangers, showing her news clippings, reminding her, "You survived for a reason." One day, Alexis held the marker shakily and wrote, "I'm not letting him win." Still, the emotional wounds ran deeper. She kept asking, "How could he do this to me?" There was no easy answer. The therapist tried to explain about power, control, narcissism. But Alexis wasn't looking for theory. She wanted a reason that made sense. And nothing did. She had loved him, given him everything. And he tried to erase her, to burn her into nothing. For what? Because she dared to leave? Her journal, which she began keeping weeks after waking, was filled with one haunting line. "He looked at me like I was already gone." As the trial loomed, so did the questions. Would Alexis testify? Could she sit across from the man who tried to destroy her and tell the world what he did? The prosecutors didn't pressure her. They had enough evidence: the social media posts, the gas station footage, the fingerprints, the accelerant bottle, to build their case. But Alexis wasn't silent anymore. One night, she looked at Janelle and wrote a single word on the whiteboard: "Yes." The courtroom was cold, not just from the air conditioning, but from the weight of what was about to happen. The audience benches filled slowly: family, reporters, survivors of abuse, even strangers who had followed the story online. Everyone was here for her. And then the doors opened. Alexis Sykes entered. She wore a long-sleeve blouse and slacks. Her face bore the soft sheen of scar tissue, raw, healing, honest. Her walk was slow but steady. No cane, no wheelchair. Every step was a statement. "I'm still standing." Across the room sat Jonathan White, his expression unreadable. He didn't blink as she passed, but she never looked at him. She took the witness stand, raised her right hand, and swore to tell the truth. What followed was nothing short of devastating. She told the jury everything. How they met, how the sweet became suffocating, how she shrank to fit into the cage of his love. Her voice, quiet but clear, never wavered. She described the night of the fire, how she woke in flames, how she crawled through smoke and pain, how the man she loved watched her burn and walked away. One juror wiped tears. Another clenched their jaw. The prosecution followed her testimony with cold, hard facts. Security footage of Jonathan entering and exiting the apartment. A recovered bottle of acetone from a dumpster. Social media screenshots where Jonathan taunted his crime. Forensic analysis of the accelerant traces on her clothes and furniture. The surgeon's testimony, describing third-degree burns and the 14 surgeries that followed. The defense had little to offer. They argued mental instability, claimed Jonathan was under emotional distress, that he didn't intend to harm her. He just lost control. But intent was all over the evidence. He had brought the acetone. He had waited until she was asleep. He had watched. And then he ran. The jury didn't need long. The verdict, guilty. Attempted first-degree murder. Aggravated arson. Aggravated domestic battery. The judge stared down at Jonathan before sentencing. "You planned this," he said, voice low. "You didn't snap. You prepared. You walked away from a woman screaming in flames and chose silence. This court has no mercy for that." Sentenced, 55 years. No possibility of parole. Jonathan didn't flinch, but Alexis finally looked at him. She didn't speak. She didn't have to. Her stare said it all. "You didn't end me. You made me stronger." After the trial, Alexis disappeared from the spotlight. She declined interview requests. Didn't want book deals. She needed time. For healing, for therapy, for herself. Janelle said she spent months just learning how to rest again. How to trust again. Her arms would always bear the story. Her face carried faint reminders. But her spirit, that was never burned. Eventually, Alexis returned to school, finished her nursing degree, and when asked why she chose to go back into caregiving after nearly being destroyed by someone who should have cared for her, she gave a quiet smile. Because pain teaches you how to recognize pain in others. Today, Alexis volunteers with burn victims. She visits hospitals quietly, brings books, talks about the little things, the way your skin itches when it heals, how hard it is to look in the mirror some days, how the world keeps spinning even when yours has stopped. She doesn't talk about Jonathan, not because she's afraid, but because she refuses to give him one more second of her life. Alexis Sykes was nearly erased by someone who claimed to love her. But love is not control. Love is not silence. Love is not fire. Her story is not just one of survival. It's a warning. Because this didn't start with fire. It started with silence. With jealousy. With isolation. How many Alexises are out there right now, still sleeping beside someone they fear? How many red flags go ignored, dismissed as mood swings or just being protective? How many victims stay silent because no one listens until it's too late? Now it's your turn. Do you know the signs of coercive control? Would you speak up if a friend pulled away from everyone? What resources exist in your community for survivors of domestic abuse? Leave a comment. Share a story. Be the person who notices before the flames begin. If you enjoyed this video, please support us and help us get to 10K community of truth seekers. Like this video, hit the subscribe button and turn on notification bell.